Commander Zixtal peered through the observation deck of the Galactic Federation scout ship Starweaver, his compound eyes fixed on the blue-green planet spinning lazily below. Earth, as the inhabitants called it, had piqued the interest of the Federation's expansion committee for its abundant resources and strategic location. Status report. Zixtal chittered to his second-in-command, Vexnor. Vexnor's antennae twitched as she processed the data streaming through her neural implant. Preliminary scans complete, Commander. The planet is teeming with life, including a dominant sentient species. Interesting, Zixtal mused. What's their level of technological advancement? Rudimentary, sir, Vexnor replied. They've achieved limited space travel within their own solar system, but their energy production methods are inefficient. They rely heavily on combustion and primitive fission reactions. Zixtal's mandibles clicked in amusement. Combustion? How quaint. What about their weapons technology? Vexnor hesitated. It's unusual, sir. They seem to favor kinetic weapons that propel small metal projectiles using chemical explosives. You can't be serious, Zixtal scoffed. They're still using projectile weapons. This should be even easier than we thought. The commander turned his attention back to the view screen, watching as the Starweaver entered low orbit. The ship's advanced cloaking technology ensured that they remained undetected by Earth's primitive scanning systems. Prepare a landing party, Zixtal ordered. I want to observe these humans up close. Within minutes, a sleek shuttlecraft detached from the Starweaver, carrying Zixtal, Vexnor, and a small team of researchers. They descended through the atmosphere, their ship's sensors guiding them to a relatively isolated area, a small town in the middle of a vast, arid landscape. As they touched down on the outskirts of the town, Zixtal activated his personal cloaking device. The rest of the team followed suit, becoming invisible to the human eye. Remember, Zixtal instructed, observe only. Do not interact with the natives under any circumstances. The alien team made their way into the town, marveling at the primitive structures and antiquated vehicles lining the streets. Humans of various shapes and sizes went about their daily routines, completely unaware of the invisible observers in their midst. Zixtal's attention was drawn to a group of humans gathered around a large screen in a storefront window. The screen displayed moving images of what appeared to be a conflict, humans in uniform firing their primitive weapons at each other. Fascinating, Zixtal murmured. They make entertainment out of simulated combat. Vexnor, however, was more interested in a nearby building with a sign that read Library. Commander, she whispered, this appears to be a repository of information. Perhaps we could learn more about their society here. Nodding in agreement, Zixtal led the team into the library. They carefully navigated around the oblivious humans, examining the rows upon rows of printed books. How inefficient, one of the researchers commented. Storing information on processed plant material instead of quantum data crystals. Zixtal was about to agree when he noticed a section labeled Military History. Intrigued, he began to examine the books, his neural implant quickly translating and processing the information. As he absorbed the contents of book after book, Zixtal's initial amusement turned to confusion, then to concern. The history of human warfare was far more extensive and complex than he had anticipated. These primitives had been fighting amongst themselves for millennia, constantly innovating new ways to destroy each other. Commander, Vexnor interrupted his thoughts. I've been analyzing their global information network. These humans have a disturbing propensity for violence, yet also a remarkable ability to adapt and overcome challenges. Zixtal chittered thoughtfully. Perhaps we've underestimated them. Their weapons may seem primitive, but they've honed the art of warfare to a degree we hadn't considered. Just then, a commotion outside caught their attention. The team hurried out of the library to see a group of humans gathered around two individuals engaged in a heated argument. Without warning, one of the humans struck the other, leading to a full-blown fistfight. The alien observers watched in shock as the two humans grappled and exchanged blows, their faces contorted with rage. The crowd around them cheered and jeered, some trying to separate the combatants while others encouraged the violence. "Barbaric," one of the researchers muttered. But Zixtel saw something else. Despite the primitive nature of the conflict, he couldn't help but notice the intensity and determination in the humans' eyes. Even in this small skirmish, they fought with a ferocity that was both impressive and terrifying. As local law enforcement arrived to break up the fight, Zixtel signaled his team to retreat. They made their way back to the shuttlecraft, each lost in their own thoughts about what they had witnessed. Once safely back on board the Starweaver, Zixtel called a meeting with his senior staff. The observation team shared their findings, painting a complex picture of humanity, a species capable of both great violence and remarkable ingenuity. "Your conclusions, Commander?" the ship's chief scientist asked. Zixtel's compound eyes flickered as he considered the question. "We came here expecting to find an easy target for conquest," he began. "Instead, we've discovered a species that, despite its technological inferiority, possesses a strength we may have overlooked. Their weapons are primitive," Vexnor added, "but their will to use them is unlike anything we've encountered before." Zixtel nodded. "We need to reassess our invasion plans. These humans may not have energy weapons or force fields, but they have something potentially more dangerous, an indomitable spirit, and a history steeped in warfare." As the Starweaver broke orbit and headed back to Federation space, Zixtel gazed once more at the blue-green planet receding in the viewscreen. He had come seeking an easy victory, but now he faced a difficult decision. Should he recommend proceeding with the invasion, knowing what they now knew about humanity? Or should he advise caution, perhaps even suggest leaving this dangerous species alone? One thing was certain: humanity was far more than it appeared to be at first glance, and underestimating them could prove to be a costly mistake. The invasion begins. 6 months had passed since Commander Zixtel's scouting mission to Earth. Despite his warnings about the potential dangers of underestimating humanity, the Galactic Federation's High Council had decided to proceed with the invasion. They were confident that their superior technology and vast numbers would easily overcome any resistance the humans might offer. As the massive invasion fleet dropped out of hyperspace just beyond the orbit of Mars, Admiral Krelax stood on the bridge of the flagship Nebula Conqueror, his carapace gleaming under the harsh light of the command center. "Status report," he demanded, his voice a low rumble that sent vibrations through the deck plates. "All ships accounted for, Admiral," his executive officer responded. 5,000 warships, 10,000 troop transports, and 15,000 support vessels. We are ready to begin the assault." Krylax's mandibles clicked in satisfaction. "Excellent. Commence the first wave. Target their primitive defense satellites and communication networks." Across the fleet, thousands of energy weapons powered up, their brilliant beams lancing out towards Earth. The humans' outdated satellites never stood a chance, exploding into clouds of debris that lit up the night sky. On the surface of the planet, chaos erupted. Governments scrambled to respond to the sudden loss of global communications, while civilians panicked at the sight of the alien armada now visible to the naked eye. Admiral Krylax watched the unfolding scene with smug satisfaction. "Pathetic," he muttered. "They don't even have a unified planetary defense system." But as the alien fleet moved closer to initiate the ground invasion, something unexpected happened. A barrage of missiles launched from hidden silos across the Earth's surface, streaking towards the invasion force. "Inconsequential," Krylax scoffed. "Our shields will easily repel their primitive explosives." However, as the missiles detonated against the alien shields, they released powerful electromagnetic pulses. Suddenly, dozens of alien ships began to lose power, their shields flickering and failing. "Impossible," Krylax roared. "How could they have developed weapons capable of penetrating our defenses?" The answer came swiftly and brutally. From concealed positions around the globe, rail guns and laser defense systems, secretly developed by combining reverse-engineered alien technology from crashed UFOs with human ingenuity, opened fire on the vulnerable ships. Krylax watched in horror as several of his warships, caught off guard and with their shields down, exploded in brilliant fireballs. "Return fire," he bellowed. "Launch the ground forces immediately." As the space battle raged, thousands of alien dropships descended towards major cities and strategic locations. But instead of the easy conquest they expected, they were met with fierce resistance. In New York, alien troops landing in Central Park found themselves ambushed by U.S. Special Forces teams armed with prototype plasma rifles. The narrow streets of Tokyo became death traps for alien walkers as Japanese defenders used the urban terrain to their advantage, striking from the shadows with advanced rocket launchers. Near Moscow, a massive alien land cruiser was stopped in its tracks by a combination of electromagnetic weaponry and good old-fashioned artillery barrages. The Russians had learned from their long history of warfare that quantity had a quality all its own. Back on the Nebula Conqueror, Admiral Krylax struggled to comprehend the mounting reports of losses and setbacks. "How is this possible?" he raged. "They're savages. Their technology is centuries behind ours." Commander Zixtal, who had been quietly observing from a corner of the bridge, finally spoke up. "With all due respect, Admiral, I tried to warn the Council. These humans may lack our advanced technology, but they possess something far more dangerous: adaptability and a warrior spirit honed by millennia of conflict." Krylax turned his compound eyes on Zixtal, his anger palpable. "Explain yourself, Commander." "Sir, look at how quickly they've incorporated elements of our technology into their defenses. Those EMP weapons, they must have developed them from studying crashed scout ships. And their ground tactics, they're not fighting like a species facing its first interstellar war. They're fighting like they've been preparing for this moment for generations." As if to punctuate Zixtal's words, a massive explosion rocked the flagship. Alarms blared as damage reports flooded in. "We've been hit by some sort of kinetic energy weapon," an officer reported. "It penetrated our shields as if they weren't even there." Zixtal's antennae twitched in realization. "They've weaponized their planet's magnetic field," he said in awe. "They're using the Earth itself as a giant coil gun." Admiral Krylax, his earlier bravado evaporating, turned back to the tactical display. All across the globe, his invasion forces were bogged down, taking heavy losses against an enemy that refused to break or surrender. In orbit, more of his ships were falling to the humans' unexpected array of defensive weapons. It was becoming clear that this easy conquest was rapidly turning into a potential disaster. "Order all forces to regroup," Krylax finally said, his voice heavy with the weight of impending defeat. "We need to reassess our strategy." As the alien fleet began to pull back to a defensive position, Zixtal couldn't help but feel a mix of admiration and fear for the humans. They had taken the invaders' best punch and not only survived but struck back with shocking effectiveness. The invasion had begun, but it was already clear that conquering Earth would be far more costly, and perhaps impossible, than anyone in the Galactic Federation had imagined. The real question now was, how would the humans respond once they took the fight to the stars? Underestimating the enemy, the Galactic Federation's war room was a hive of activity. Holographic displays flickered with real-time battle data from Earth, each update bringing more bad news. Admiral Krylax stood before the High Council, his once proud posture now hunched with the weight of impending defeat. "Esteemed council members," he began, his voice gravelly with fatigue, "I regret to inform you that our invasion of Earth has not gone as planned." Councillor Jetra, her luminescent skin pulsing with anger, leaned forward. "Not gone as planned. That's quite an understatement, Admiral. We were promised a swift victory. Instead, we're hemorrhaging ships and soldiers to these primitives." Krylax's mandibles clicked nervously. We underestimated them, Counselor. Their technological advancement was far beyond what our initial reports suggested, and their tactical acumen." "Excuses," Jetre interrupted. We need solutions, not excuses. Commander Zixtal, you've had the most direct experience with these humans. What insight can you offer? All eyes turned to Zixtal, who stepped forward, his compound eyes reflecting the glow of the holograms. Counselors, the humans possess a quality that we've rarely encountered in our conquests: adaptability. They're learning and evolving their tactics at an alarming rate. He gestured to one of the displays, showing a human fighter jet engaging an alien craft. Look here. They've already reverse-engineered aspects of our shield technology. Their weapons are crude by our standards, but they're finding ways to make them effective against us. The council murmured amongst themselves, a mix of concern and disbelief rippling through the chamber. Zixtal continued, but it's not just their technological adaptability that's concerning. It's their spirit. In all my years of studying alien species, I've never seen one so resilient. They simply refuse to give up, no matter the odds. He pulled up another hologram, this one showing human civilians working alongside military personnel to rebuild a destroyed city. They unite in the face of adversity. Every defeat seems to make them stronger, more determined. Counselor Drenvik, his crystalline form shimmering with agitation, spoke up. Are you suggesting we abandon the invasion? Trillions of credits have been invested in this campaign. Not abandon, Zixtal clarified, but reassess. We need to understand our enemy better if we hope to defeat them. Meanwhile, on Earth, the human resistance was gaining momentum. In the ruins of London, General Sarah Chen stood before a group of international military leaders, her face etched with determination. Ladies and gentlemen, she addressed the group, we've bloodied their nose, but the real fight is just beginning. Thanks to the data we've gathered from downed alien craft, we're making breakthroughs in propulsion and weapons technology that would have taken us decades under normal circumstances. She nodded to a young scientist, who stepped forward with a device that looked like a cross between a rifle and a car battery. Dr. Emika, if you would. The scientist aimed the device at a target downrange, a piece of alien hull material. With a high-pitched whine, the weapon fired a concentrated burst of plasma that melted through the alien alloy like butter. As you can see, Chen continued, we're closing the technology gap. But our real advantage lies in what the aliens lack: innovation under pressure. They've relied on their superior tech for so long that they've forgotten how to think outside the box. In orbit, the alien fleet was regrouping, licking its wounds. Aboard the Nebula Conqueror, Admiral Krelax and Commander Zixtal were locked in a heated debate. We should pull back, regroup, and study these humans further before committing to another assault, Zixtal argued. Krelax's carapace flushed dark with frustration, and give them more time to adapt our technology. No, we hit them hard and fast, overwhelmed them with sheer numbers. With all due respect, Admiral, Zixtal countered, that strategy has already failed once. These humans, they don't think like us. They're not just fighting with weapons and ships. They're fighting with ideas, with improvisation. As if to illustrate his point, alarms suddenly blared throughout the ship. Multiple small craft approaching. An officer shouted, they're using our own cloaking technology against us. On the view screen, they watched in disbelief as a swarm of retrofitted human fighters, nearly invisible to their sensors, launched a devastating attack on the alien fleet's flank. Back on Earth, in a hidden bunker deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, a team of hackers led by a young prodigy named Zhou Wang had just achieved the impossible. They'd cracked the alien communication encryption. We're in, Zhou announced, her fingers flying over holographic keyboards. We can now intercept and understand all their transmissions. General Chen, watching over her shoulder, allowed herself a small smile. Excellent work. Now let's see if we can't use this to cause a little chaos in their ranks. As the battle raged in space and across the surface of the Earth, it was becoming clear that the tide was turning. The aliens, for all their advanced technology, were struggling to cope with humanity's unpredictable and ever-changing tactics. In the Galactic Federation war room, The mood had shifted from confidence to concern to outright panic. Counselor Jetra turned to Zixtel, her bioluminescence dimmed with worry. "Commander, you've studied these humans more than anyone. In your opinion, can we still win this war?" Zixtel was silent for a long moment, his compound eyes taking in the chaotic battle displays. Finally, he spoke, his voice heavy with realization. "Counselor, I fear we may have made a grave error. We saw the humans' primitive weapons and assumed they were primitive thinkers. We failed to consider that those simple tools might be wielded by complex, adaptable minds." He gestured to a display showing human soldiers using a mix of alien and Earth-made weapons to devastating effect. "Look at how quickly they learn, how creatively they apply what they've learned. They're not just copying our technology, they're improving it, combining it with their own in ways we never considered. Are you saying this war is lost?" Jetra asked, her voice barely a whisper. Zixtel's antennae drooped. "I'm saying, Counselor, that we gravely underestimated our enemy, and in doing so, we may have awakened a force that will reshape the galaxy as we know it." As if to punctuate his words, another alarm sounded. On the main view screen, they watched in stunned silence as the first human-made faster-than-light ship winked into existence at the edge of the solar system. The age of humanity's confinement to Earth was over, and the Galactic Federation's worst fears were just beginning to be realized. The tide turns. The appearance of humanity's first faster-than-light, FTL, ship marked a pivotal moment in the war. Dubbed the Phoenix, this vessel represented not just a technological leap, but a shift in the very nature of the conflict. Humanity was no longer fighting a defensive war. They were taking the battle to the stars. Dr. Samantha Rice, the lead scientist behind the FTL drive, stood on the bridge of the Phoenix, her eyes gleaming with a mixture of pride and determination. "Captain," she addressed the ship's commander, "the drive is stable. We're ready to make our first coordinated jump." Captain Miguel Ortiz nodded, his weathered face set with resolve. "Very well, Doctor. Let's show these aliens what humanity can do when pushed to the brink." He turned to his communications officer. "Signal the fleet. Operation Starfall is a go." Across Earth's orbit, 100 ships, a motley assortment of converted civilian vessels and hastily constructed warships, winked out of existence, only to reappear moments later amidst the alien fleet's supply lines. On board the Galactic Federation's command ship, chaos erupted. "Impossible," Admiral Krylax bellowed, his carapace flushing dark with rage and fear. "They couldn't have developed FTL technology so quickly." Commander Zixtel, watching the unfolding battle with a mixture of awe and dread, spoke softly. "We've underestimated them yet again, Admiral. They didn't just reverse engineer our technology. They improved upon it. The human fleet, though smaller and less advanced, fought with a ferocity that caught the aliens off guard. Earth ships darted in and out of FTL, striking from unexpected angles and disappearing before the aliens could effectively retaliate. Meanwhile, on Earth, the ground war had taken on a new dimension. Human forces, now equipped with a mixture of reverse-engineered alien tech and their own innovative designs, pushed back against the invaders with increasing success. In the ruins of Sydney, Major Amelia Wong led a squad of power-armored soldiers against a group of alien walkers. "Remember your training," she shouted over the comm. "Aim for the joints and sensor arrays." The squad moved with practiced precision, their armor enhancing their strength and speed. They darted between crumbling buildings, using the urban terrain to their advantage. Plasma bolts and repurposed alien energy weapons lit up the night as they engaged the walkers. One of the soldiers, Private Chen, called out, "Major, I've got an idea." Without waiting for a response, he activated his suit's grappling system, launching himself onto the leg of the nearest walker. As he climbed, he pulled out a device that looked like a compact welding torch. The EMP grenade worked wonders on their shields. He explained as he worked. "But I figured, why not take it a step further?" With a triumphant cry, he activated the device. A focused electromagnetic pulse shot out, frying the walker's control systems. The massive machine stumbled, then crashed to the ground. Major Wong couldn't help but grin behind her helmet. Improvised tactics. That's how we'll win this war. Good work, Private. Back in space, the battle raged on. The Phoenix led a daring assault on the alien flagship, the Nebula Conqueror. Captain Ortiz's voice rang out clear and confident. All ships focus fire on their main power conduits. Dr. Rice's calculations show that's their weak point. A coordinated barrage of missiles, each tipped with a warhead that combined human nuclear technology with alien power sources, struck the massive alien vessel. Explosions rippled across its hull. And for a moment, it seemed as if the attack had failed. Then, with a silent flash visible across the solar system, the Nebula Conqueror broke apart. Admiral Krylax, watching his fleet crumble around him, finally admitted defeat. "Send the signal," he ordered, his voice hollow. Full retreat. As the alien armada began to disengage, limping away from Earth's orbit, cheers erupted across human communication channels. But amidst the celebration, wiser heads knew that this was just the beginning. In a secure bunker beneath the United Nations headquarters in Geneva, world leaders convened an emergency session. General Chen, now promoted to oversee Earth's unified defense forces, addressed the assembly. "Ladies and gentlemen," she began, her voice grave despite the recent victory. "We've won a significant battle, but the war is far from over. The Galactic Federation will regroup, and they'll return with even greater force. We must be prepared." She gestured to a holographic display showing the Phoenix and its sister ships. "Thanks to Dr. Rice and her team, we now have the means to take the fight to the enemy. But more importantly, we have the opportunity to reach out to other species who may have suffered under the Federation's expansionist policies." The president of the African Union spoke up. "Are you suggesting we form our own interstellar alliance?" General Chen nodded. "Exactly. We've proven that determination and ingenuity can overcome even the most advanced technology. Imagine what we could accomplish with allies who share our desire for freedom." As the assembly debated the proposal, Dr. Rice worked furiously in her lab aboard the Phoenix. The ship's FTL drive had performed admirably, but she knew they could push it further. "If we can extend the range," she muttered to herself, "we could reach the Federation's core worlds." Her musings were interrupted by an alert from the ship's eye. "Dr. Rice, we're detecting an anomaly at the edge of the solar system. It appears to be a transmission." Rice frowned. "From the retreating alien fleet?" "Negative," the AI responded. "The signal doesn't match any known Federation protocols. It appears to be an invitation." As Reyes rushed to inform Captain Ortiz and Earth's leadership, a new chapter in human history was about to unfold. The Galactic Federation had awakened a sleeping giant, and now that giant was ready to take its place among the stars. But even as humanity prepared to venture into the unknown, questions lingered. Who had sent the mysterious transmission? Were they friends or foes? And how would the Federation respond to their humiliating defeat? One thing was certain: the galaxy would never be the same again. A new understanding. The mysterious transmission that reached Earth at the end of the Galactic Federation's failed invasion marked the beginning of a new era for humanity. As the Phoenix and a small fleet of Earth's most advanced ships prepared to investigate its source, the remnants of the alien invasion force limped back to Federation space, bringing with them tales of an enemy unlike any they had faced before. In the Grand Assembly Hall of the Galactic Federation's capital world, Zixtel stood before the High Council, no longer a mere commander, but now the reluctant voice of reason in a sea of confusion and fear. "Esteemed council members," he began, his voice steady despite the weight of his words, "we have made a grave error in our assessment of the species known as humans. They are not the primitive savages we believe them to be, but rather a force of nature that we, in our arrogance, awakened and underestimated." Murmurs rippled through the assembly as Zixtel continued. In a matter of months, they went from a pre-FTL civilization to one capable of not only repelling our invasion, but also striking at the heart of our fleet. Their adaptability, their creativity in the face of overwhelming odds, and their indomitable spirit make them unlike any species we have encountered in our long history of expansion. Councillor Jetra, her bioluminescence pulsing with agitation, interjected. Are you suggesting we simply give up? That we allow these upstarts to threaten our dominion over the galaxy? Zixtal's compound eyes flickered. I am suggesting, Counselor, that we need to fundamentally reassess our place in the cosmos. The humans have shown us that technological superiority alone does not guarantee victory. Perhaps it's time we consider diplomacy over conquest. As the council chambers erupted into heated debate, light years away, the Phoenix and its escort fleet dropped out of FTL at the coordinates of the mysterious transmission. Captain Ortiz and Dr. Rice stood on the bridge, their eyes wide with wonder at the sight before them. A massive space station, its architecture unlike anything of human or known alien design, hung in space. Its surface shimmered with an otherworldly energy, and as they watched, a docking bay opened like a blooming flower. Captain, the communications officer called out, we're receiving a transmission. It's in perfect English. A melodious voice filled the bridge. Greetings, children of Earth. We are the Arcadians. We have watched your struggle against the Galactic Federation with great interest. Your victory has proven that you are ready to join the greater community of sentient beings. Please, come aboard. We have much to discuss. As the human delegation cautiously made their way onto the Arcadian station, they were met by beings of pure energy, their forms shifting and flowing like living auroras. The lead Arcadian, introducing itself as Zephyr, explained their role in the galaxy. We are the Watchers. Zephyr's voice resonated in their minds. For eons, we have observed the rise and fall of civilizations across the cosmos. The Galactic Federation, in its quest for dominance, has upset the delicate balance we strive to maintain. Your species, with its unique blend of ingenuity, adaptability, and determination, may be the key to restoring that balance. Dr. Rice, her scientific curiosity overcoming her initial awe, asked, but why didn't you intervene when the Federation attacked us? Zephyr's form rippled with what seemed like amusement. My dear, we did intervene. That scout ship that crashed on your world decades ago, sparking your leap in technological understanding. It was no accident. We have been subtly guiding your development, preparing you for this moment. The implications of this revelation stunned the human delegation. Their entire modern history, their rapid technological advancement, had been part of a grand plan orchestrated by these ancient beings. Captain Ortiz, ever the pragmatist, spoke up. So what happens now? The Federation is still out there, and they're not likely to take their defeat lying down. Now, Zephyr replied, you take your place among the stars. We will provide you with knowledge and technology beyond your imagining, but how you use it will be up to you. Will you follow in the Federation's footsteps, conquering and subjugating? Or will you forge a new path, one of cooperation and mutual growth? As the human delegation grappled with this monumental choice, back on Earth, the leaders of the world were coming to a similar crossroads. The technology gleaned from the defeated alien forces had solved many of humanity's long-standing problems. Clean energy, food production, disease. But it had also given them the power to reach out and potentially dominate other worlds. In a historic address to the United Nations, now expanded to include representatives from every nation on Earth, General Chen laid out the choice before them. We stand at a turning point in human history, she declared, her voice carrying to every corner of the globe. We have proven our worth against one of the most powerful forces in the galaxy. But with great power comes great responsibility. We must decide what kind of interstellar species we want to be. As humanity debated its future, the Galactic Federation was undergoing its own transformation. Zixtal's words had struck a chord with many, and a movement for reform was growing. The old guard, led by hawks like Counselor Jetra, called for a massive buildup of forces to crush the human upstarts. But others saw the opportunity for a new way forward. Months passed, and as Earth prepared to formally enter the galactic stage, a surprising message arrived. The Galactic Federation, its government now led by a coalition of reformists, was suing for peace. They proposed a summit, to be held on neutral ground, to establish a new order in the galaxy. And so, on a terraformed moon orbiting a gas giant, in a star system halfway between Earth and the Federation's capital, representatives from humanity, the Federation, the Arcadians, and a dozen other species gathered. Their task: to forge a new galactic compact, one based on mutual respect, cultural exchange, and cooperative growth. As the proceedings began, Dr. Rice found herself seated next to Zixtal, the former alien commander now serving as a senior diplomat. I must admit, Zixtal chittered softly, when I first observed your species, I never imagined we would end up here. Rice smiled. That's the thing about humans, Commander. We have a habit of defying expectations. Zixtal's compound eyes seemed to twinkle with something akin to humor. Indeed, I've learned that underestimating humans is the gravest mistake one can make in this galaxy. As the summit progressed, laying the groundwork for a new era of interstellar cooperation, one thing became clear. The galaxy had underestimated humanity, seeing only their primitive weapons and dismissing them as savages. But in doing so, they had failed to recognize humanity's greatest strength, not the weapons they wielded, but the indomitable spirit behind them. The age of human confinement to Earth was over. The age of human exploration, innovation, and collaboration had begun, and the galaxy would never be the same again.